Hi, my name is Katie Kusoru and this is my tissues presentation. I'm going to be starting with epithelial tissue. Firstly, there are 8 types of epithelial tissue, but the 3 most important ones that I'm going to be talking about are proper, granular, and simple. Proper covers and lines the outer and inner body, while glandular forms glands that secretes hormones. 2 glands within that is the endocrine and exocrine. Endocrine puts substances directly into the bloodstream, while exocrine puts them into tubes that put them into the outside of the body or sometimes into the bloodstream via tubes. Epithelial cells are characterized by shape and layering, in which the shape correlates directly with its function. So for example, squamous being flat makes it easier for nutrients like oxygen to get moved across. Some common characteristics that all epithelial cells and tissues share is that they are avascular, which means they have no blood supply. Therefore, they get their nutrients from the... Next, we have connective tissue, which is what holds you together. It is also said to be the most abundant and diverse of the 4 tissue types. Your bones, tendons, and cartilage bind, support, and protect your organs and give you a skeleton so you can move with a purpose. All connective tissue have 3 factors that set them apart from any of the other tissues. They share a common origin, aka mesenchyme. They also have different degrees of vascularity or blood flow. And thirdly, they are mostly composed of non-living materials, which is also known as the extracellular matrix. The 2 main components of connective tissue is ground substance and fibers. The ground substance is made of water and proteins, and the fibers include collagen and elastic. Collagen is like the tougher, stronger one, while elastic is like the stretchy one. Next up, we have muscular tissue, which supports your weight and fights gravity. The cell membrane within muscle tissue is known as sarcolemma, but what allows for your actual motions of movement is a pair of protein strands called actin and myosin. Muscular tissues are pretty amazing because they can turn chemical energy into mechanical or usable energy. It does this by contracting and relaxing the muscles. Each muscle has its own nerves to stimulate these contractions, as well as its own artery and veins so it gets the nutrients it needs. Every muscle also has sheets of connective tissue which keeps the muscle from bursting. There are also 2 rules of movements that relate specifically to proteins. One of them being the fact that protein will change its shape when something is binding to it. And the second one being that this change in shape allows for proteins to bind or unbind to other stuff. Next up, we have nervous tissue. The main type of cell in the nervous system are neurons, which generate and conduct electrochemical impulses by neuronal processes. Are amitotic, meaning they do not divide. So that also means the neurons you were born with you have until the end of your lifetime. But that also means that if some die via like drugs per instance, or like a stroke, they will not come back or be remade, which is a little scary. So take care of your neurons. The neuralgia is a supporting, non-impulse generating, conducting cell of the nervous system. 3 structural categories: unipolar, bipolar, and multipolar. Unipolar has 1 branch that splits near the cell body into central and peripheral processes. Bipolar, mutation and uncontrolled cell growth. First of all, it is very important to understand that any multicellular organism that grows doesn't grow because their cells get bigger. They grow because their cells divide, which leads to cellular reproduction. However, you do not want these cells to divide all the time, because that leads to something that's known as uncontrolled cell growth, which is caused by mutations in genetic material, such as nucleic acids mostly. A mutation is like a change in genetic material. Why do these changes happen though? Some reasons that we know about is genetic information, UV exposure, and radiation exposure. Uncontrolled cell growth leads to cancer cells, which as a whole bunch is known as a tumor, which is very dangerous and can be fatal. The cells also have other problems, such as inability to communicate with like other healthy cells. They may not carry out their regular function and may not be able to anchor themselves, meaning they would move around freely wherever they please. 2 treatments